Welcome to the Trenches Podcast.
We touched on, what Matt and I are going to be doing with these videos. But I want you to talk about a little bit about it too, man, because you and I have had these conversations off camera about I never got these type of, again, it was just lucky that I met you.
Yeah.
And I think it was, just me asking the right questions and stuff like that. Or, I guess with you is a little bit bad example because, I never really asked you. I never really paid attention to what you did on the side until after I left. But the point is I still met you at the right place, right time. And then we built a relationship and stuff like that. But, I tell you and I tell people all the time too, when they ask me about this podcast, it's just I want to bring information to people that, don't necessarily get to be in the right place, right time, or in certain situations to meet people who, damn near have a second income. You know what I mean?
Right.
Second, third, fourth. You especially, man. You're doing your thing out here, and that's awesome. But yeah, man. Touch a little bit on why we're doing this and what we plan to bring.
Yeah, man. I think you touched on it perfectly right there. It's I think there's so many people out there that just don't and I think social media is a beautiful thing. I think it's a necessary evil. I think social media can definitely play a negative role because there's a lot of people faking it on social media, and it makes people who don't know what's up want to strive for the wrong thing. But it's also a place where there's just so endless amounts of knowledge out there and information that you can go get. And so I think it's a beautiful thing. But there's so many people out there that want to invest, whether it's in real estate, stock market, 100 different things. But they just don't have anybody in their family, in their social circle, anything like that they can get that information from. Like just me as a real estate agent, I have people that'll call me and just say, hey, I want to go buy a house. And I'm like, cool. And they're like, do I need credit for that? And I'm like, wow, there's so much bad information out there, and there's so much just a lack of information.
That's what I was gonna say. I think it's more of a lack because and I think it just goes full circle. I didn't mean to cut you off, but there's so many things where it's almost like I'm almost embarrassed to ask. I mean, I don't care now, but I'd be like, man, I don't want to sound dumb, and that's the thing too. I think there's another anxiety about looking for the information. Number one, feeling overwhelmed because there's so many. I mean, there's so much, and then we talked about it too when we sat down. Is who to trust because there's so many people selling dreams and talking about this, coming to you man, I have 1,000 units. Let me show you how to do it. You know what I mean? So
that's the biggest thing is the trust thing too, because like you said, if you don't have anybody in your immediate circle or anybody that maybe somebody in your immediate circle knows. When you're going to ask those questions, you have to go completely out of your circle and go find, you might have met this person on the internet or who knows. Like you said, you might feel stupid asking questions because you have no idea who this person is. And then can you trust this person with their answers and what guidance they're giving you? So it's definitely tough for sure. So it's nice to be able to break down those barriers, or at least try to.
For sure. And that's, that's one of the things. Because there's just so many, just to, I don't know, because investing is big as a whole, you know what I mean? It can be, just that word can be broken down into a whole bunch of different things.
Yep.
And they're all really interesting. And within those groups of different things, there's subgroups of different ways. For example, like real estate, you can do wholesale, flip. And it's just so it just keeps breaking down and breaking down. So it's the plan is to talk about all of them, obviously not right now, but talk about all of them. Just so you can sort of get in where you fit in, and I think that's really important. Different type of loan programs and all that stuff. And I'm also learning with you guys too, so don't think I'm over here.
I was gonna say you already seem like you got more than last time.
Yeah,
Boy was doing his homework.
I try, man, and that's one of the things, man, where it's I think I told you too. I was I rarely listen to music now. I mean, the new Drake dropped, so I had to listen to it. But yeah, it was fire, right?
Yes.
But a lot of the time, man, I just try to, a little bit. I listen to a little bit of a funny podcast, but the rest is just just YouTube videos and just people talking to you, talking to other people like you. Because I feel like you have to become obsessed with this stuff, and the only way to really be obsessed is to just dive in head first and sort of just learn how to swim.
There's so much information, and like you were saying, you were just breaking down even just the small things, there's wholesaling, there's flipping, there's so much of it. And so when you're first starting out, and you're before you start out, your mind is closed. It has no idea that these things even exist. And then it's just once you crack your mind open just that little bit, and you're like, oh, and then you start learning about it, and then your mind is fully open. It's like trying to drink water out of a fire hydrant at one point. You're just like, there's so much coming in, and it's hard to digest it all. And so it's definitely one of those things where you have to become obsessed with it because there's so much of it to learn. And you don't have to know it all at once, and obviously, and I think that's the big thing too, is it's like, because information is free and so accessible now, I think it becomes to a point where you think that, like, because you have access to it 24/7, that you have to be consuming it 24/7 because you can actually learn something 24/7. But I think it's just, it can be overwhelming, but just focusing on certain aspects of one thing, getting to know that, trying to be a quote unquote expert in that, and then moving on. I think what people make a big mistake is trying to learn everything all at once, and then you just overwhelm yourself, and it just becomes crazy. So,
yeah, and that's the cool thing about too, which is the internet, man, is like, you can kind of go at your own pace, which is also really important too, and that's kind of how we want to, break down these type of videos, to where it's like, you whenever you're at whatever starting point, or you want to decide, we have week by week, I guess pamphlet. It's sort of like a visual audio pamphlet of how you want to go about it. But I think that's really true what you said, where it's like, because dude, if you type in like just real estate on YouTube, I'm so curious, there's 100 billion different ways, and it's just like, you know what, dude, never mind.
Bro, I have a permanent neck kink. Just like that. I know it's never going to go. It's with me for life. Just from sitting in my bed at nighttime, from just scrolling endlessly. Because it's like one of those things where it's like, it's fun. And like, don't get me wrong, it's fun at a certain point. Like once you start learning something, and you learn it to a point where you can actually start applying it, like that's where the fun begins. So that's where like the real obsession takes place. So that's definitely where the point is, where you catch yourself staying up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because it's like, now I know enough to be able to apply it. So everything I learn from here on out is gravy that I can actually go apply. So you never want to go to bed. You always want to. It becomes crazy, and so you have to do it in healthy doses. But I would much rather someone stay up and be doing that type of, instead of looking up fucking cat videos and whatever other bullshit on YouTube that you could be wasting your time with.
Dude, and that's so funny, bro, because there'll be times too where I'll just be spent, where I'm because it's just like, work all day, and then like cutting people at home, at their house, coming over here, finishing this, and it's just like, I'll catch myself and I'm like, all right, let me just watch like some shit on YouTube, and then I'm like, I damn near feel guilty, because I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
you should be doing this.
Yeah. So it never stops, but it's one of those things too, where it's kind of like what you said, like once you because for me, at least what happened with me is, once I started learning about it, and listening to the different type of, like, again, like just breaking it down to, I don't know, once I first heard somebody say wholesale, I don't know what that meant. And then I learned about it, and I'm like, oh shit, now I know what that means. But then you kind of be like, and then now you almost have enough information to where you can engage in a conversation, and now you learn 10 times more what that is, because it's and now you just gained a friend who can be like, hey, I don't know, you can just engage in conversation with that, and that's when the shit really starts to get fun.
Yeah, man, because it's one of those things too. It's like, something that you're interested in like that, like you want to learn about it, and so as you're learning about it, you want to talk about it at the same time too, because it's interesting to you, and that's what I was telling you before. Like, it becomes fun once you start learning about something, because then you start learning the vocabulary that comes with it, and you kind of learn the terminology, and then you just catch yourself talking about it, and then you'll just be out in random situations and in different social circles or whatever, and you'll catch yourself saying something. And dude, investors want to talk just as much as you do, and so. And they're listening all the time, and they're always talking about it. So their ears are always on. So they all they hear is that one key word that you use or whatever, and then here they are talking to you. And like I said, I've caught myself so many times just in the last 2 years where, just from like opening myself up in like a networking space and just doing the homework and doing the work and actually knowing what I'm talking about and all that kind of stuff, like the certain situations I've been in the last 2 years where I'm talking to certain people and I'm like, why the fuck are you talking to me? Like, why am I here? What is going on? Like, this is nuts. And like, I would say maybe there's 1% of investors that are dickheads that are going to try to rub it in your face that they have 10,000 units and they're going to be assholes to you no matter what. You know, they're not going to answer your questions. But I would say 99% of the people, like, they're just regular. They want to help you. They want to answer your questions. Like, so